What's going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. So today is Wednesday. That's right, it's hump day. Welcome back to the channel. Having a look at what's going on, we are up 0.21% for Bitcoin. Basically, absolutely nothing. Bitcoin has been going sideways for quite some time. Really boring. We had a little bit of excitement right here, but essentially we've just been going sideways. But today looks like that is about to change. You are seeing analysts across the board. Everyone is looking at this wedge, and we are destined for a breakout or a breakdown, and that's probably going to happen within the next 24 hours, probably even by the time you see this video. So I do want to talk about this because this is probably going to happen very, very soon. What are the chances we break to the upside versus the downside? That is definitely going to be a major topic of today's video. Also, I do want to talk about some fundamentals as well. For example, we do have China rolling out their government coin, and it looks like a bunch of enterprises are already on the list getting ready to use it. How is that going to affect things? Is it going to positively or negatively affect Bitcoin? And also the fact that gold is still rising today. I do wonder why we have not seen Bitcoin also follow it. And if it was to follow it, would that be a good or bad thing? Because then that would say that Bitcoin is somewhat correlated and it does somewhat respond, whereas recently it didn't, and that was one of the beauties of Bitcoin. So today's definitely going to be an interesting video. You can tell pretty much right off the bat we have a lot to go over, but I am going to keep it nice and short and concise because, you know, we got places to be. So thank you so much for coming back to the channel. If it's your first time and you are not subscribed, well, what are you waiting for? We do this every single day. Let's dive into the market. Let's give it a quick refresh live. Bitcoin dominance up to 68.9%. Very boring day in the markets. I'm not going to go over that. We do have a few coins up today. Knowles, 12%. Holochain, 10%. Ren, Synthetics Network, still doing quite well. Keep your eyes on it, but the volume is still extremely low on this one, and it looks like it looks like it could be very illiquid and have a pretty massive move, and it could go the wrong way, right? We also have Hypercash, Basic Attention, and Insight as well. One coin that's actually doing really good today is Constellation DAG. Now, I'm going to get into it in just a minute. You may have already heard the news. I actually had a chance to interview these guys as well about a year ago, so we'll talk about that in a second. Interesting thing, though, I do want to point this out. One reason why we also could be maybe surmising that there's going to be a massive move is the fact that you have noticed that just this week alone, you can see we started the week off, and it looks like Tether has actually printed a little bit over, somewhere around $30 million worth of Tether. So, not that much, but I just wanted to point out that there has been some Tether printing. Well, what are you going to do with all this Tether? Maybe buy some Bitcoin? Could be. Well, we're going to look into that. But I do want to talk about the fact that the real 10-hour volume, in all sincerity, is very low right now, okay? It's sitting at around $541 million. Now, when you have volume falling and you start getting to the end of a wedge like this, well, you could be looking for that breakout that we've been talking about. Now, obviously, the fear and greed index last week, this 5 was just insane, but we've been putting in about a month of solid fear, okay? So when there's blood on the streets, well, you know the saying, right? Having a look at this, we notice we are still trapped between the 50 and the 100. Been going over this for like 3 weeks now, guys. We are currently sitting slightly out of the blue zone. We we were supported by the 100, as you guys know, looking to get above that $10,620 level. But something that I find almost creepy right now is that we are practically sitting exactly on the VPVR. We spoke about this yesterday, and this is the most accumulated price for Bitcoin over this pump and consolidation, and that was a price of $10,165, and currently we're sitting at $10,173. Actually, this is over on BLX, so this technically isn't the greatest because it is delayed, but that being said, I just find it interesting that essentially this is where it closed out at, but we are still following this nice curve, right? We've been respecting it, so don't need to go into detail too much about that, but I do want to point out Jacob Canfield, he said Bitcoin trading has been like watching paint dry. Boring, right? Paint drying Bitcoin price action should probably be ending in about 4 hours or so. I expect a resolution of this to come soon. I'm personally leaning towards the bullish side with the way the order books are stacked. By the way, I'm trying to get Jacob on the channel. We're actually talking right now. I'd love to have him on, and he is the number one trader, I think, on TradingView as far as his charts. Remember, he was the one that did the really famous, if you did the opposite of CNBC chart. So he's feeling pretty bullish right now. This is the chart we're looking at. You can see clearly we are getting closer and closer to the end. It does say that the potential breakout could even be tomorrow, but we know that Bitcoin tends to break out sooner than later, right? We usually don't get to the end of the wedge. And as I did point out earlier, we do have clearly volume that's been decreasing for quite a while. Pretty much since August 14th, we've had, with the exception of this sort of green wick right here where we did break out, but that is really the sign of a massive move. If you guys want to see what that looks like inside of the giant triangle, the one that could potentially bring us all the way to mid-October, well, this is it right here. So having a look at some of these levels, well, we are looking at a potential 10% move in either direction. So what does that mean? Well, if you have a move to the upside, we could be seeing an $11,000 Bitcoin. If we have a move to the downside, we could be seeing a $9,000 Bitcoin. Now, what do I personally think is going to happen? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, nobody freaking knows. And if anybody tells you they know, they're lying. But I'm going to give you my best educated guess, okay? Personally, I would like to see a breakout to the upside. But if we do break to the downside, I'm more than happy to accumulate. So here's what I'm thinking. If we break out to the upside right now, you're looking at heavy resistance at around $11,300. Okay? We may not get that high, okay? But that's the resistance that I'm looking at. Now, if we were to break out above that, you would really want to go sort of higher than this wick. You'd want to get above 12,300 to really put in a short-term higher high, right? So that is the bullish scenario. The bearish scenario would be to fall in the other direction. You could fall $1,000 down to 9K. That would obviously bring us here. Now, it does look like we may get supported around that $9,500 level if we fall to the low side. Now, here's the thing. I do think if we wick down to that $9,000 level, I think it's going to instantly get bought back up, okay? And the reason that I think that is because of all of the traders that are looking at the 21 exponential moving average on the weekly. Right here, you can see that's sitting around $9,043, okay? So what I think happens is if it goes to the downside, you're going to have an instant wick at that 9,000. It's going to be a great buying opportunity, maybe if you even want to put in a long, not financial advice, but, I would think that it would wick up to around that $9,500 level. If it goes the other way, well, then we're probably going to get smashed out by this resistance and bounce around in the triangle a little bit longer unless we can break higher than some of these previous highs. So that's pretty much what I think. Long story short, if we go down to 9K, I think we're going to instantly get bought back up. If we go higher, we're going to struggle with this resistance, but we could bounce around and get supported sort of around this $10,700 level, okay? So that's basically what I think, but, don't listen to random people on the internet. Always do your own due diligence. You can see right here, we did have this massive downwards falling wedge that if we were to break down below the $9,000 level, then that would be very bad. And then this channel would probably start getting more bearish because then we'd be putting ourselves back into this downwards channel and we could be looking for a lot lower lows. I don't want that to happen, but like I said, it is a possibility and we do have to be realistic, right? But talking about the fact that you have Bitcoin dominance at 71.15%, we are well above the green line. You can see right here with the not the all-time, but the high that we had in December of 2017. So I think anywhere above this signals to me that traders have their eyes on Bitcoin and they are focused on Bitcoin right now. And given the fact that Bitcoin is basically looking to make a pretty damn big move within the next 24 hours, and when I say big, I'm looking at around a 10% move, roughly, okay? It could break out of the entire triangle and we can go buck wild, but for the most part, that's what we're looking at. And I think a lot of other people are as well, but I do want to just really quick give a shout out to Trump Make Bitcoin Great Again, because he basically pointed out that Bitcoin is in upwards channels. He took the time to put all these different lines on the charts right here, and you could see that essentially Bitcoin does keep finding itself in these upwards trajectories. So even when Bitcoin falls, even when we have these drops, we still get supported by upwards trends, right? We fell here, we got supported. We fell here, we got supported. We came all the way up here, and once we touched sort of this orange and gray resistance, you could see we started trending upwards as well. So there's a good chance that even if we were to fall, if Bitcoin was to take a hit, it would still continue in an upwards trajectory. It would just be having a minor correction. So I just wanted to point that out, shout out, to this dude over here. But what I do want to point out really quick is you guys know that Bitcoin always surpasses, it has always surpassed its all-time highs. And then the all-time high, sort of becomes the floor, and we really don't go below it, right? But I do want to point out that I find this region right here between, it's the end of 2015 to the beginning of 2016. You see this consolidation period where we just kind of got stuck and Bitcoin just sort of bounced between like $3,050 and $350 and $450. And it did this from November of 2015 all the way until May of 2016. That was a really long period of sideways accumulation. And I do wonder if that's the opportunity that we're being presented with right now. It is a possibility, but I do want to chime in, look at all different sides of the scenario. I don't want to come across too bullish and I don't want to come across too bearish. I just like to be very realistic about this. You could see skew. Now they basically have some data over here. They say options back probability of Bitcoin closing above 20K by the end of the year is gradually eroding with the passage of time. So they're saying that the chance of Bitcoin seeing 20K by the end of this year is less than 7%. They're saying October should be interesting with the two ETFs, but I don't think anyone cares about the ETFs anymore. I just don't think it matters. I think we're just bored of it. And even if the ETF gets approved at this point, I don't really know how much it would do. I think people are more excited about Backed, to be honest with you, to see what happens with them. But hey, we all love a good prediction, right? We could look at our good old buddy, the anonymous trader that said April 2019, we were going to have a $5,300 Bitcoin, which, well, you can see right here, we did. Then he goes on to say July 2019, Bitcoin 9,200. Well, you can see we did. And the next price point is October of this year, Bitcoin 16,000. So that would actually go against this tweet. That would mean less than 7% chance of seeing over. Oh, well, actually, no, they are saying 20K. Okay, so no, actually, this falls in with it. I can't believe I'm entertaining this, but we're having fun today, guys. Why not, right? So 16,000 by October of this year. So actually, then you could still see 20K by December. Let me know what you guys think. I know this is just a random fun post. We're just having fun, but do you think Bitcoin could hit 16K by the end of this year? What do you guys think? It's possible, right? If we go up. But the other thing too is, just talking about what's going on, you have Max Kaiser. You see right here, it says the Fed shouldn't enable Donald Trump. You can see he's been pressuring Powell lately. We've talked about that, right? Open warfare at the Fed, the world's central banks, and the White House is the perfect setup for Bitcoin, $25,000. Bitcoin's mathematically driven, autonomously implemented monetary policy fixes both political and monetary chaos. And yes, guys, gold is doing quite well. And actually, I do want to really quick talk about gold because, everyone's like, well, Bitcoin's going sideways and gold is going up. Well, it's a double-edged sword because it's kind of cool that Bitcoin isn't responding because we love that Bitcoin is a non-correlated asset, right? That's what makes it so cool. But at the same time, on the other side of the coin, pun intended, we kind of do want it to be correlated in the sense that we want people to respond to Bitcoin as a safe haven, right? So it's kind of that backwards tug and war that sort of just goes around. But the thing I want to talk about is you're seeing right here, the gold industry says that they're currently facing a major forgery problem with fake kilogram bars found in the vaults of major banks such as JP Morgan Chase. So while roughly 1,000 have been discovered, experts told the publication there are likely more still in circulation. So that is the problem with gold, okay? For example, you can see here with Bitcoin, node operators can verify the authenticity of their holdings, but gold owners have to go through expertise, right? You got to check out the density, you got to shave some off and all this other stuff. So I want to ask you an honest question, and this is basically like Bitcoin Wizard said, would you accept Bitcoin from me if I sent it to you? Of course you would, right? You'd give me your wallet address, I'd send it to you, and you would know it's Bitcoin, right? Because Bitcoin is Bitcoin. I can't send you a fake Bitcoin, but would you accept gold as a payment from someone you didn't trust or someone you didn't know very well, right? Without verifying the weight, the purity, etc., right? Would you ship them something without verifying the gold? No, you wouldn't. And that's something that makes Bitcoin and gold very different. Also, the fact that gold supply is not it's basically unlimited, right? Because we have gold at the bottom of the ocean that someday we'll be able to figure out. We also have to deal with the forgery of gold, and we have, potential asteroids that are made of gold, right? There's only 21 million Bitcoin ever, but we have gone on this story for quite some time. Interestingly enough, Crypto Hamster points out CNY is going down, gold is rising, crazy time. The next move of Bitcoin will be massive, and, all signs point to yes. Bull run starting? Possibly? I'd say so, guys. I definitely think it's a shift. Now, I do want to talk about something else really quick. You have Alibaba, Tencent, and 5 others to receive the first Chinese government cryptocurrency. Some of you may not think this is important, but it is going to have some type of ramifications. There's going to be some consequences, whether good or bad, right? So you can see that within a few months, the People's Bank of China plans to release its electronic currency and give it to 7 major financial payment providers in the country for usage. I already went over who those were. This was also confirmed by another anonymous source, a person who works with the Chinese government. So anonymous, but they work with the government. Okay, we'll take it with a grain of salt. So we have this so-called China coin. I'm sure that's not what it's really going to be called. Could launch as early as November this year, when in China, the biggest shopping day, which is called Singles Day, maybe you're familiar with it, takes place. So the 7 and possibly even 8 fintech heavyweights that were mentioned by Forbes will make the new crypto available to consumers all over China, and ultimately even in the US and other countries and the world. But I want to ask you a question. What makes this any different than Facebook Libra? What makes this any different than just being able to control? I mean, really, all this does is give these guys more power, right? In fact, there was an interview that came out of from it was Luke Martin over at Venture Coinist, which if you guys aren't following him on Twitter and you aren't following him on YouTube, you got to get subscribed. This guy puts out great content. Had an opportunity to actually meet him at Consensus. But I just want to play this clip really quick. And this is basically what Arthur Hayes was saying. And I know Arthur Hayes, there's been a lot of craziness going on lately, but he actually made a really good point. He's talking about this. And let me just play it right now. Okay, basically, what is happening with this China coin and what could really be like I said, negative side effects of something like this, being publicly put out there in the open.
I mean, in terms of vision, financial privacy, I think, will be dead in under 5 years. If you go to China and you need to buy, say, a drink at a bar, most places now don't even take renminbi or cash. You pull out your phone, you get out your WeChat Pay app, you scan a barcode. Now, as a customer, this is an awesome experience. I don't need to worry about change. It's instantaneous. I get my drink faster. However, it's a centralized company, Tencent, that has all the data on all these payments. Now, I think the PBOC wants to bring that in-house into they control everything. And governments, as we know, love control. I don't care what the ism they claim to believe in. What they really want to do is control every facet of your life and make you completely dependent on them. The last frontier is money. Cash is terrible for governments. It's hard to tax. You don't know what people are, the activity that they're doing. They could be doing unlicensed activities and receiving payment for them. Now, if I outlaw cash and I give you a nice app that's super convenient and instantly pays for things, I now know everything that you do. I can tax you at the point of every activity that you do in your whole life. And I can lock you out of the financial system if you don't abide by my rules. Now, this is extremely sexy for governments. I think China and India are going to be the first to really do it, but every other government, I don't care if you're in the West or the East, will ban cash in the next 5 years. And at that point, people are really going to discover what financial privacy really means. And it doesn't mean holding $1 million of gold bars in your basement, because it's really hard to move that around. You're going to need some sort of digital cash. And that's where I really see the value proposition for Bitcoin finally clicking in everyone's head when they realize, oh shit, I used to be able to take out a $10 bill and go buy a dime bag of weed, but I can't do that anymore. There's no market. I got to use this app. And oh shit, the app is controlled by the central bank. And they know everything I spend my money on. Oh, I was lying on my taxes. Oh shit, they know that I bought this 911 Porsche that I couldn't explain by my income. So all of a sudden, people are really going to think about, how do I get financial privacy? And at that point, crypto is going to take a next leg forward.
Now, I know what you're saying out there. Bitcoin is not anonymous. And you're correct. It's not anonymous. It's like quasi-anonymous, pseudo-anonymous, as they say. However, it is censorship resistant, first of all. And technically, I mean, yes, you can do chain analysis, but you would have to be able to tie the individual to the actual wallet. I mean, realistically speaking, let's just be real here. If I just made a Bitcoin wallet and then I just went to somebody and verbally said to them, hey, send some Bitcoin here, you know, you might be able to trace them back. You might be able to ask them, hey, who'd you send it to? But realistically speaking, you don't actually know who generated that wallet. You really don't know who owns that wallet without having to actually dive deeper into it and figure it out, right? But that being said, that's not really the point of what I'm trying to say. I want to know how you feel about things like this China coin or like Libra coin. I mean, is this something good? Is this actually going to help people in the long run? It is convenient, but do you like the fact that, hey, maybe Facebook doesn't like your purchases, or maybe the Bank of China doesn't like what you're doing with your money, and they could just shut your account down, right? I mean, right now you can get your bank account can get frozen, right? By the government, by the IRS, right? So that's one of the beauties of being your own bank and holding your own crypto, such as Bitcoin. And speaking of Bitcoin, Bitcoin and Friends has an episode 3 came out. I was supposed to do an interview with Broccoli Rob. Things got really super busy, but if you guys want, check it out. It's definitely a good time. Also, that being said, we have Little Bubble, My Ponzi. I'm not going to play any more of that because I don't want to get hit with a copyright, but definitely check that out. I'll give that a thumbs up. I will drop that below. Oh, actually, you know what? I really do like this. I'm going to retweet this. This was a good tweet. Made a good point here. All right, so moving on. This is the big news. So why is DAG up 45%? Let's give it a quick refresh. How's it doing? 46%, 47% almost. Okay, well, the United States Air Force has signed a deal with the blockchain startup Constellation Network to secure defense data. So the USAF has a multitude of data sources like drones, planes, satellites, etc. that need to be secured. Clean and consolidated data that can be queried instantly is a big need within the defense apparatus. So Constellation said that it will provide a decentralized security to the United States Air Force data pipelines with encryption, as well as create audit trails and live overview of the status of any data source. This is important because of the recent attacks on centralized systems like Equifax and Visa, according to the startup. Now, if you guys are interested, I did this interview with Benjamin and Ryle quite a long time ago. This was actually in June of 2018, June 14th of 2018. So if you guys are interested, definitely check this out. As you guys can see, I was watching $10 million Bitcoin again earlier today. It's a really great documentary. Check it out. So that being said, also in other news, we have IOTA, Jaguar, and Land Rover and Positive City Exchange will explore the potential of distributed ledger technology, blockchain for IoT and smart cities tomorrow at NTNU in Norway. But actually, this was put out yesterday, so that's happening today. So if that's the case, you're probably already there attending it. Also, Wikipedia, the 7th most visited website in the world, is the latest website to join Brave browser as a verified publisher. Wikipedia will now be able to accept tips and donations in basic attention tokens, which could meaningfully increase the non-profit's revenue. So this is huge. The 7th most visited website in the world is now an official Brave publisher. If you guys haven't checked out Brave browser, I do have links below. I'm a verified publisher as well, so I know if you guys are sick of watching all these ads in the videos, well, you can just use the link below, download it, and then you can watch it ad-free. I think you also still get the $5. I'm not sure. I haven't looked into it, but that being said, guys, that is it for me today. Thank you so much once again for coming back to the channel. Having a look at Bitcoin. We're getting close, guys. We're getting close. So something big is definitely going to happen within the next 24 hours, maybe 48 hours if it really stretches out. I'm looking at a 10% move. I told you what I think either way. I am bullish, but if we do go to the downside, I don't think we will stay that. We probably could dip 10%, but I think we'll wick up instantly to around the 9.5, 9.6 level. That's just my opinion. Don't just do it because I said it, guys. I'm just a crazy guy on the internet, just looking at charts and crypto all day long. You know, the idea of this channel is not to tell you what to do. You know, I never wanted to do that when I made this channel. I don't want to give signals. I don't want to tell people when to buy or what to do. Really, it's just a place of higher learning, education, and honestly, just being a part of one of the greatest rides and journeys I think we're probably ever going to experience in our lifetime. And that being said, I am more than happy to be sharing